Okay, hi everyone. This is Kathleen King. I am an artist at Mercury 20 Gallery in Oakland, and I'm interviewing our artists. And today I'm going to interview Tara Esperanza.
Hello.
Here
Nice to see you.
we are in Zoom. So Tara is one of our newest members at Mercury 20. We are an artist-run gallery at Collective, and she's got a show coming up. So we're going to discuss a number of things with her, and we're going to start, as always, chronologically at the beginning. So tell us about your background, where you're from, and your kind of early experiences with art.
Yeah, so I was born in Massachusetts and grew up there, always making art, honestly, taking it very seriously, even as a child. And I was very fortunate to go to a high school with a strong arts program. So I, yes, early on started forging my path to art school and had studio classes in high school and was able to build a portfolio and work closely with my art teacher for my continued art education pursuits, so to speak. So then I went to UMass Dartmouth and got a bachelor's in fine arts, focused on painting. And I also went to Europe and studied landscape painting in Brittany, France for a time. And yeah, and then that kind of just continued my art path from there.
Yeah, that's so cool in a number of things. First, art education and how important it is, and it finds people who are into it, and you were right there, ready, with loving art. And tell me a little about like those early days with teachers and stuff, like what and yeah. So what did you learn? What was your early art making like?
Yeah, well, early on as a child, it involved a lot of drawing
Mm.
and coloring, but I was very serious about my coloring. It wasn't like
Still serious.
wild scribbly. It was like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, so yeah, very organized with my materials at a very young age and all of that. But fast forward in high school and even middle school, I had like wood shop and, was working with different materials. And then in high school, we even were able to do stained glass and printmaking. And I remember my first woodcut and was so amazed. And then in college was really where I honed in on my painting skills. And I had some amazing professors.
You want to give any shout outs?
Sure. Actually, just this weekend, I went to one of my college professors is showing in San Francisco right now, and recently reconnected with her on Facebook. And so I went to see her paintings, and that was really exciting and amazing. And that's Anne Leone, and she's at the CK Gallery, CK Contemporary Gallery in San Francisco. But my big shout out has to go to Laurie Kaplowitz. And she was my painting professor in my junior year of college, sorry. And she is really the one that kind of made the biggest impression on me in terms of my practice and my use of materials and paint application. And she introduced me to gel medium and so yeah, that was really where I started to um, I guess direct my focus and pursue painting specifically.
So
Yeah.
we'll get into some things about style and technique in a minute, but
Mhm.
I know that after college you traveled a lot, and that's another, educational thing that's
Oh,
really
absolutely.
important for people. And I was
Hmm.
talking to my daughter the other day, and she in 2019 she went to Nepal and Myanmar, and she said,
Mm.
they're there's not as many American, people traveling as there used to be. And I
Hmm.
said it was weird. And I think, it's just so important if you have the opportunity, if you can do it. It's just so educational. So tell us a little bit about your travels after college.
I agree 1000%. If anyone can do it, especially in your early 20s, is such formative years. And I feel like, yeah, I felt very fortunate to have the opportunity to go abroad to study painting. But it also was a really important time for me. I had been studying art history for years, and to actually go to all of the places in Europe that I had been studying and actually see these pieces in person, it was life changing. And I literally like ate my way through Europe in art, and it was like all I could do: eat, sleep, breathe, walk. Everything was art, art, art. And it was amazing. And then after college, I traveled around Southeast Asia, and I've traveled Mexico extensively and all over, a lot of places. But what I have to say about traveling is you learn so much about other cultures and other people in the world, but also through that process, I learned so much more about myself. And I I feel like it made me a better person when I came back. I was way more aware of the world and people around me and how I move through the world and the difference I can make in serving and helping others. So I do encourage any young person to break away from the comforts of your home and your familiar surroundings, and get yourself in new territory and uncomfortable places where you have to navigate and find your way and not be handed everything. It really says so much of, you learn so much about yourself, and way more than I even could have imagined. I didn't think that's what I was going for, but
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So cultures and seeing art. And so you lived in the Southwest for a while, and you traveled in Mexico. So the landscape was really something that kind of caught your eye and became like content for you. So was that some of your early paintings subject matter?
Yes. And well, when I was studying in Brittany, France, it was for landscape painting. And that's really where I started doing plein air painting. And that was pretty amazing. It was the small town, Pont-Aven, and it's where Gauguin lives. So we were going to a lot of locations that he was painting all the time. And there was also a retrospective of his work at that time, and in the town. And so that was really cool. But also being there was a great launch pad to other places. And then, yeah, my um, painting, so from landscape, and then I went to Mexico, and before my succulents, had been working on a body of work of paintings about Mexico. And all of that is like landscape and tradition and people and architecture and religion and culture, and all of that sort of wrapped up into my imagery, which is realistic, but those paintings aren't just of one setting. So yeah, that's, I guess, where I started to develop a certain style and in my work, where it's realistic but altering perspective, and kind of creating a new perspective to see things. And I guess through my viewpoint, which is not always so straight on, but obscured in a way, but still visibly realistic.
So yeah, so your style. is representational. But yes, you very much sort of move from representation, I think, into just like a true love of color is huge in your work. Uh, and then your technique is really cool. So let's just talk about your technique. So you do a kind of a overlay with subtle color gradations and variations in your work. Was that something that you had gotten even way back in college, that, being able to do that? You said you used the gel medium, and that I know that
Hmm.
that helps with that, the layers,
Yeah.
transparent layers.
Yes. That was part of what um, I learned from Laurie Kaplowitz. Yeah. So my colors. So I realized just recently, I don't, I don't know that all artists do this, but at any rate, I recently put together in my mind that I've been using the same palette colors my whole painting life. Like, I don't stray from those colors. I consider myself a colorist in a way because every color that I put on my canvas, I create.
Mhm,
So nothing comes straight from the jar
mhm,
onto the canvas. Even if it's white, I still mix in something. I'm not taking a bright white right from the jar and like
mhm.
applying it. So I mix everything, and I've been working with the same palette of colors for so long that I think that I've really just made good friends with these colors, and I understand them well, and we speak the same language, so to speak. I really know how they work together, and I mix my paint as I go. I don't as I'm working on the painting.
You have a palette. You don't mix big. Uh,
No, I don't do big batches.
mhm.
Right. I mix with my palette knife, and I apply a lot of paint with my palette knife and a lot of layering that way. And I also use brush. Um, and yeah, so I take pride in my colors because I mix them all, and I hear other artists that go, "Oh, I'm inspired by this color and I'm going to go buy this and make all this new body of work with this new palette." And that's amazing that, people do that. But I realize what hearing other artists speak like this, that's not how I work, and which is fine. Everything's right for that person. But I'm just making a point that it wasn't even a conscious thing for me. It's just kind of been what I've been working with and what I know all these years. And I mean, I have set colors on my palette, but my paintings express a lot of different colors.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, well, you use a lot of color. So and you're working with nature and landscape, so there are those colors that you're working with. And
Yeah.
like you said, in your past paintings, maybe you had architecture and people, so you had clothing and people's body colors. But when you're doing your work that you're doing now, which is the succulents, I mean, if you see a succulent garden, all the colors are there. I mean, maybe it's like mostly green, or maybe it's like mostly grayish green or something, but there's so many subtle colors and variations in something, in a subject like that. So it seems that you've figured out how to like kind of blend. Not only do you blend or mix your own colors, but then once you get on the canvas, you're kind of blending as well, right?
Yes. And that is, yeah, I guess that's not something that I even work on. It's just kind of like it. This sounds so weird and cliche, but it's just like I don't. It just comes out of me.
Right, no, but it's just what you see too. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
so then it just
It's
comes.
my expression, I guess, and what I see and what I'm like conveying on the canvas. Yeah.
What do you think about all the subtle and beautiful gradations as a stylistic matter? Like, how do you think, what do people say? Like, how does it make them feel? Because I know it just evokes certain feelings. And what feedback do you get from
Um, hmm. Well, you tell me.
people? Well, I was going to say, there's a softness and that gradation as a color moves into another color and then another color, and you sort of go, in and out, of
Hmm.
space with, down maybe. Oh, because your new show is called I See You, and you said I go deep into the succulents, and then
Hmm.
you kind of come back out. So there's a lot of visual flow going on with it. And I think it just makes you, it just sort of calibrate. It's a calibration that you're doing, and then the viewer calibrates, themselves, their feelings.
Nice. Yeah, I think I see a lot of movement and in the succulents, and how I guess the softness comes from what I see in the actual petals. The plants really hold space close together, and I think when we walk down the street, you can see succulents, and they might look like, yay big, right? And or there's a lot of small ones put together, or in someone's arrangement in their house or whatever. So most people just see that whole full image, but what I do is go close. I dive in, I zoom in, and I bend down, or I get on my knees, and literally I like get into the plants, I talk to them, and I find so much beauty in their relationships and their structure. And I also see how they change with the seasons. And I find that really interesting too, and how their colors change based on how much light or they're getting. Like the sun will change colors, and sometimes not for the good. Sometimes they get burned if it's too much sun. But that to me is really interesting, because I don't think people think of them so much in that way. Like when we think of seasons, we think of trees and leaves, and maybe which flowers will grow in the spring, and but I see succulents so much in that way, that they are very much affected by the seasons and the climate and their environment, just like we are.
Mhm.
And they're amazing. They grow all over the world, which is also really unique. Most plants
You got
not.
in, you got into succulents in fairly recently, like 2018, right? So, and then you've been kind of focused on that as your subject for the couple of years. And
Mhm.
so, how did succulents like entice you? What happened?
So I got late 2017. I was still working on my Mexico series, and I got commissioned to do a succulent painting, and it was a specific size and specific plant that she wanted. I took on the commission, being a plant lover, was really excited about it. I did not know the name of the plant or anything about it, but I just decided I'd figure it out. So I actually took the image that she had given me and went to a nursery and asked for them to identify it for me, and they did. So then I bought some of that plant and went home and just tackled the project, and I literally fell in love. And it was really challenging. At the time, I had not painted a succulent. I was doing my little world of Mexico paintings, which were multicolored. That's Mexico. It's very colorful. And the image that I was given to work with was a varietal that is pretty monotone. Though with sunlight, the edges of the leaves will turn pink. But it was pretty much a green, various hues of green painting, which was a big challenge because I had never, you know, had simplified the palette to that. Though still there's still a lot of color within the
Absolutely.
greens,
Mhm.
but yeah, so it was a whole new project and a new challenge, and I think I did a good job, and I really loved it, and the client loved it. And so what happened was well, my dog recently passed away, bless her heart. But I walk my dog every day, twice a day, and I'm also a long distance runner. So when I was given the project, I started looking for that plant out in nature, and I wasn't finding it. It turns out it doesn't grow in a lot of yards in my neighborhood. So um, although I wasn't discovering that plant, I was discovering all of these other varietals of succulents, and it just opened up my world so much. And I realized I had been passing by all these plants in my neighborhood on my daily walks for years and never noticed them. And so now I make a point to make them noticed. And that's really what started it. And I thought I would do that one painting and go back to painting about Mexico. And then I couldn't. I went back and finished the painting that I had put aside. But at that point, I had so much inspiration and so many ideas to keep creating succulent paintings. And so that's what I've been focused on for the last 2 years. And I finished that first painting in January or February of 2018.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
So,
you've been going ever since. So
yes.
I think that a plant, and then you're focused very, you're looking at the plant really closely and carefully. And this plant, has so much liquid in it, so much that reflects light. And
Hmm.
so that there are just thousands of colors in there, in a plant like a succulent. And
Hmm.
it feels like your technique of layering, and you can get just that sort of sparkle of all the many colors in your work. And so yeah, I mean, I think. And how many have you done so far, would you say, since in this?
Well, I'm about to finish. I'm very close. This one would be 12, but two have sold.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is number 10 for the upcoming show.
All right, great. So let me just say about your show. It's called I See You, and it's at Mercury 20 from October 23rd, November to November 28th. We're in 2020. And yeah, so so do you identify with the succulents personally, would you say?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, so succulents are incredibly uh, durable, forgiving, strong, soft, beautiful, resistant, love community, family. Um, I absolutely, just to name a few.
Hey, that's
uh,
what I thought.
yeah, I think they're amazing, and I talk to them all the time, and I really try and honor them in the best way that I can. Every time I approach a new canvas, it's like all I do is hope that I can honor the plant in the best way possible. And every single one is a new and exciting challenge. Um, and yeah, I feel like they are my family. I have several children, succulent children. I'm going to be bringing some to the exhibit, so there will be live plants as well. Um, so yeah, I'm really grateful for them in my life.
Mhm. Yeah, the that rosette shape too. is just really, and how, the petals are, curve in and to make a sort of a little vortex. And it's just a beautiful shape. And then, like you said, the multiples of them that so you do photograph and then you crop so that you are kind of up close and making a composition with your crop, right?
Yes, I document on my walks, or sometimes when I'm running, I'll even have to stop and take a picture, but I try to not do that or go back and walk to the location. And so I do, that's how it starts, is documenting the images and then going back through and I just find what images are speaking to me at that time when I'm starting a new canvas. And then I will zoom in and basically find the composition that speaks to me at
Mhm.
that time. Sometimes it's about the the color palette, and or sometimes it's like just the plant itself. It varies, but each time I start a new one, I guess I just work with whatever images is.
I love
Ex-
those grayish green, this sort of frosty ones.
mhm.
I mean, you must now, and you alluded to this, that you've done research about all the various types of succulents there are, right? And there's so many.
There are. Oh, it's endless. It's every time I learn of one or memorize one, then a whole bunch show up. And I am a member of a couple succulent groups on Facebook,
Mhm.
which helps. And I also have turned my sister into a succulent fanatic as well. She's even probably more extreme than me, but in her growing practice. But yeah, so if I don't know what it is, I will sometimes just Google characteristics of it and see if I can find it on images that way. Or if I can't figure it out myself, I can post to one of the groups on Facebook and ask for help identifying something. And someone always knows. And or my sister. We often have video sessions, video succulent sessions where we, um, yeah, go over our plants and what we're caring for. And or she sometimes calls and says, I need art assistance and I need to make new arrangements, help.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Arranging them, they're just probably endlessly fun and fascinating to arrange.
Yes, and I grow. They're amazing. Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but you can take most of them, you can propagate from the leaf. So if you just take off a leaf, lie it in dirt, it'll grow new roots and then grow a new plant from the leaf. And it holds so much water in the leaf, you don't even water. It just will create a new plant. So it's that easy. So a lot of right now I'm always propagating new ones, and so from what I have I can create a lot more all the time. It takes time, but yeah. So, and the arrangements are fun. I keep things together for a while, but then I'll go or decide to like rearrange things or get, new pots and rearrange things. So yeah, it is kind of fun to have have them move around and um, change their presentation.
Mhm. Great. Well, we're really looking forward to seeing the show, and some of the paintings are very large, and then you have some different sizes, right, of paint.
Lots of different sizes. The smallest one is 26 inches square.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
but most of
but there's some
them,
real big ones, right?
yes,
Mhm.
the biggest is 54 inches tall or wide, because that's as big as it'll fit in my car.
Of course. That's right.
I can't go any bigger. So I know that. That's the max.
Okay, great. Well, it's great to talk to you and find out about your show again. I see you, paintings by Tara Esperanza at Mercury 20 Gallery. Opens October 23rd. And I guess Mercury 20 is open on Fridays and Saturdays from 12 to 6. And people can come in. Galleries are a really great place to go to now because our gallery is very large and not a lot of people come at once. So the distancing is very easy to do and you don't really have to touch anything. So, but we have all the protocols, the COVID protocols, but
Yeah.
it's great. And you'll be there a number of times, I guess, and so people can
Hmm.
ask you about your work.
Yes, I will be there on the Saturday, the 24th from 12 to 6, and then November 7th, also a Saturday from 12 to 3, and November 28th, the last day of the show from 3 to 6.
Oh, great! I'm glad you said that because then people, if they want to meet you, they can come in.
Yes. And
All
I
right.
can always schedule private showings on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesdays.
Mhm, mhm.
So anyone can reach out to me for that.
Okay, great, Tara. Great to
Thank you,
talk to you.
Kathy.
Yeah, we will see you soon.